And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm throwing out a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and today we're on Guild Wars 2. We're going to talk about the Ember Bay map, the recently released map on the Fire Island chain, releasing with Living World Season 3, Episode 2, Fire Rising. Just as I told you, we're going to do a review of the map on Bloodstone Fen as we did. We're going to do a review of the map on Ember Bay, what you can do, what you can get, how you can make some gold, the collectibles that are here, and in general, just all the events that are in this map. But we also have a special guest here today, and who are we here with?
So I'm Eleiyas from the channel of the same name. I usually do music videos, my own music productions, but I've also gotten into Guild Wars 2, and I also do some Guild Wars 2 videos.
Right, so he's actually done a few Guild Wars 2 guides, so if you want to check his channel out, I will have a link in the description below, and you probably find some things very helpful there. But what do you think about the map? I thought the map was actually really well done, and just as my first impression was from the Maguma jungle, we saw it in Guild Wars 1, and then Maguma jungle in Guild Wars 2 looked really well done, and I basically got the same impression with this one. It was just 10 times better. Everything looked gorgeous.
Personally, I was quite surprised at the size of the map. When I played through Bloodstone Fen, it felt quite small. I mean, I know it's actually quite a big map, but it felt quite small. But Ember Bay, you just keep on exploring. I mean, when it came out that it was Ember Bay, I expected it to be a tiny little section of the Fire Island chain, but it really is like a whole island, and yeah, it's really well done. Yeah, so I mean, there are like huge volcanoes, you've obviously got beaches, you've got ocean, not much ocean, but you've got some ocean, you've got it's quite a varied map tile, to be honest, and it really does look good. So
Right, one thing that we did know about in the past when we were basically speculating for the map, we saw there was a lot of verticality in the map, and while there is an ocean area, and I'm pretty sure you can go under the ocean, and there's a huge area in the south part of the map where an entire region is dedicated to ocean, we have places where you could go very high into the mountains. If you have ley line gliding, you can go super high into these mountains and these large areas where you could fly down. There's some enemies in the top of the mountains. You can go very far down into volcanoes, and there's a lot of verticality in the map. Compared to Bloodstone Fen, I felt like Bloodstone Fen was smaller, but it did have more space on different levels. They had a bottom level where it was just flat ground. They had a top level where they had several platforms that you can jump on, and I really liked how the Ember Bay just had this. It had a mixture of Bloodstone Fen with several levels, but it had a mixture of a regular Tyria map, where there was enough ground level for it to almost look like a regular map. And I love the regular maps, and they sort of mixed it very well together. But like Elias said, a lot of exploration. If you really want to explore maps, this is the map to explore. There are a lot of hidden things. There are a lot of little areas where players have found that are just really interesting, whether it be finding different lore with the different collectibles, whether it be finding, you know, special little gathering nodes. I did hear there might be like some seaweed nodes, and seaweed is really expensive on a trading post. I have not found a seaweed farm yet, but I did hear there are some very good places to look for seaweed, so be on the lookout for that. But in general, just a lot of explorability, replayability there. This is the map to really explore, and it's just gorgeous to explore. Lots to find in it as well.
one thing I will say though is that for those of you who don't have a lot of masteries, especially Heart of Maguma masteries, you may find it quite difficult to get around, as they really do push the updrafts, ley line gliding, and a couple of others that you will definitely need. I mean, myself, I do not have the ley line gliding, and I can't get into some of the areas. I don't think I can actually complete the map without ley line gliding, which is a bit of a shame, as most of the other maps you can complete without having without needing these higher masteries. But this map really does seem to push that quite hard.
While we're on the topic of traveling and exploration, if you finished, it's actually fairly easy with this new mastery track, which is Thermal Explosion, I believe it is, or what the exact name is. It allows you to jump into these little areas in the ground, these little tubes that basically explode you through into the air while you're on fire across the map. This is actually a really effective way to travel. I tried it out yesterday, and it basically brings you around the entire map. There's one of these little areas where you can jump in every few minutes in each map. There's not a lot of waypoints in the map, which is why we have these different forms of travel. And like Elias said, you do need to have ley line gliding. I saw there's a lot of places for ley line gliding, and you could get around the map so much quicker. So if you don't have that yet, recommend you to get that, because it's going to make your traveling a lot easier. Otherwise, you may want to stick with a new mastery track, because that one also brings you around the map fairly quickly. So that's kind of how the map runs. That's kind of how you want to traverse the map. Not many waypoints, and those are sort of our first impressions of the map. Now, what is there actually to do in this map? It's fairly different from Bloodstone Fen and all of the Maguma maps. If it's one thing that I've seen in this map specifically, is that it's a lot like the older maps in Tyria. There really isn't a meta event. So if you're looking for a meta event, there is no meta event, which is, I guess for some people that's good to see, because they don't need to worry about it. Other people tend to like the meta event format. A lot of people liked Heart of Thorns because they had a specific meta event to go for. But besides that, there is a lot to go for in this map. There's a lot to do in this map. Apart from exploring, there's a lot of things you can do achievement-wise, collectible-wise, and even the new hearts, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, that are also very replayable. But the way this map works is that the main meta is the achievements. There are 29 achievements, and if you complete 26 of these achievements, then you can get the dragon scale headdress and the shoulders, which look really cool, and I think Elias already has one of those items.
Yeah, I've got the dragon scale headdress, which I believe you can get from the last mission, or completing 2 achievements in the last mission of the episode. But we're not going to talk about the episode. We're going to do that in a different video. So,
how long did it take you to get the dragon scale headdress?
Well, seeing as a lot of people were, of course, doing the mission, which. Well, it's not a spoiler. It's called Dragon Vigil. I won't go into detail what it's got, but there were a lot of groups in LFG that were looking for people doing achievement runs. Did it with them. Quite surprisingly and quite disappointingly easy with a large group of people. And I think there are 3 achievements or 4 achievements linked to that one particular mission, and also 1 or 2 mastery points as well, if I'm correct. And I just got it after completing the mission. So
now, speaking of it, the achievements being very easy, while we're on the topic as well, what do you think of the map as far as difficulty goes? Because I felt like it was I think the map was easier than the Maguma jungle maps. I don't know if that's something they did on purpose because people complained about the difficulty of the Maguma maps, or if we've just gotten used to the way these maps run, but it felt fairly easier to me.
When I first ran Bloodstone Fen, which I did with my level 80 Thief, my level 80 Daredevil, I found that Bloodstone Fen was extremely difficult. I mean, I found that the White Mantle NPCs, the enemies, actually played like sometimes better than humans do in the PvP of Guild Wars 2. And I found them really difficult. But in Ember Bay, the enemies are annoying, but then they're not difficult. I'd say it's easy. I'd say it's like going through Iron Marches, to be honest.
Yeah, Bloodstone Fen did seem more difficult to me as well. I'm only running a straight up power build, and I died quite a bit in Bloodstone Fen. I died quite a bit even in the story mission runs in Bloodstone Fen. But I have not died yet in Ember Bay, even through my first run through, so seems to be fairly easy. So the main meta event is the achievements that you want to be going for, but apart from that, there is a jumping puzzle as well, which I think is in the northwest region of the map. Both of us could not find it yet. I think you need to have ley line gliding or updraft gliding or something to access it. A lot of people have had trouble finding it, but I did hear it's fairly hard to complete.
Yeah, I would guess that you need ley line gliding, because I have 3 points of interest left to actually complete the map, and one of them I thought was quite easy to get in the northwest part of the map, but I was wrong, and it seems as though you definitely need ley line gliding, as 3 points of interest require you to get to the highest points of the different volcanoes on the map, and I've tried getting up there on foot, I've gotten about halfway up and found no way else to get up there without ley line gliding. I'm sure you need ley line gliding to get to these places, including the jumping puzzle.
Alright, so that's a jumping puzzle. I have not found it yet, but when I do find it, when we complete it, I'll definitely create a video on it if I'm able to be successful at completing it. I tend to be pretty terrible at jumping puzzle. Now, as far as events go in the map, the main focus, as developers have said, are these hearts, the daily renowned hearts that they've brought back. Along with that, there's also several very interesting events in the map as well. I came across a few events that actually just revolve around collecting loot, picking up bags of loot with a script, and at the end of the event you get a huge chest that gives you some valuable things, including the map currency, which we'll go over in just a second as well. But the hearts have been fairly good. I've noticed that they tend to explain the hearts a bit more. When I was doing the egg collecting heart and the nest collecting heart, they tended to tell you where the eggs actually are and where the nests are. But the hearts seem to be pretty fun. They're also replayability, and they do give you karma, which is valuable currency as well, for which we'll go over in just a second as well. What do you think of the hearts? Did you like them?
Well, it's weird because I've recently learned, obviously only being a quite new player to Guild Wars 2, that Karma Hearts were a last-minute addition, as most of the maps were meant to run on dynamic events and map meter.
Right.
And, you know, when Ore was released and when Heart of Thorns was released, people were actually quite glad that the maps actually did run on meta and there weren't Karma Hearts. So I find it's very strange that they're going back to Karma Hearts when most of the community don't like them. I find that really strange. But the hearts are very easy to complete. I think 4 out of 5 of them are literally just kill the local enemies, so you can pretty much do that in 5 minutes. And then you have the other one, which, you know, my colleague just spoke about, which is getting eggs and pearls and stuff. So they're very easy, but they do give karma. So I don't know if they were brought back, because apart from recompleting the maps with different characters, there's no other way to really get karma. So I don't know why they were brought back, but they're pretty easy to do, I suppose.
Now, the reason why I think they were brought back, and this is actually another thing that you can do in this map, is there are daily achievements for this map. Just like you have your regular dailies, just like you have your dailies in Bloodstone Fen, you also have your dailies in Ember Bay. I really like how they've basically moved this daily system across the different maps. It gives you an incentive to go to these different maps and do the dailies, and I really like that system. Now, one of the dailies in Ember Bay is to complete at least 2 hearts. I think people are liking these hearts a bit more because they actually reward you with a box that gives you valuable map currency. These hearts don't only give you karma, obviously they give you karma individually, but if you happen to complete the daily achievement for that map, you do get some more valuable things, and I'm guessing that's why people tend to like these hearts a bit more. I've only seen positive things being said about these map-specific hearts.
The dailies are actually pretty good because they do. It's a bit like the Tyrian ones, like you know, Daily Mystic Forger and stuff. But
Right.
instead of giving you the Writ of Experience, they'll give you a Writ of Maguma Mastery, Writ of Maguma Experience, which is again an auto-consume but works towards the Maguma Masteries. They give you a sip of liquid karma, I think, and then a couple of the petrified wood currency, which we'll go into more detail in a minute. But I quite like the dailies. I think they're easier than the Bloodstone Fen ones. Again, I'm finding this map is easier than Bloodstone Fen. I think they went a bit overboard with Bloodstone Fen, to be honest.
So far, you can do the events, you can do the jumping puzzle, you can do the collections, which I'll go over in just a little more detail of what these collections actually are. You can do the hearts, and all of these things basically give you karma. They give you petrified wood, which is the valuable currency. If you remember, in Bloodstone Fen, we had rubies. Blood rubies, that was the valuable currency there. The valuable currency in this map is petrified wood. Now, what you can do with these currencies when completing all these different activities, you can actually use petrified wood to buy some ascended gear, such as an ascended backpack and ascended accessory. Now, the reason why I think they picked these 2 ascended items is because a backpack tends to take a while to craft, especially if you're using like the quiver backpack, which I'd never craft because it takes a ton of materials. Even if you're going after an easy backpack like Madri, it still requires a lot of gold. It still requires you to log in every day to get specific materials. But the Ascended backpack from Ember Bay, all you have to do is get a ton of Petrified Wood. The same with the Ascended accessory. Usually you have to complete a lot of guild missions to get an Ascended accessory, but in here, in Ember Bay, you can get an Ascended accessory through Petrified Wood. So if you're after Ascended accessories or backpack and you need those things, Ember Bay is a great map for you because you can just farm these events, you can farm these hearts, you can do the jumping puzzle, you can do all these different things in the map to gather Petrified Wood, and then to gather your Ascended gear, and then you'll have your accessory and your backpack. Along with that, you also have a script contract, which is also an interesting item. There's also different minis you can buy. The script contract specifically is the most interesting item, I feel, because it does allow you to open these little script stashes around the map. They give you a silver doubloon, which sell for 2 gold. They also give you reclaimed wood chunk, which sell for about 20 silver. So if you're looking to make some gold in this map, I highly recommend buying the script worker contract, run on the map, find these script stashes, and hope to get one of these silver doubloons, because that's 2 gold right there. Have you had any experience opening script stash, or do you have the script contract yet?
No, I didn't actually know about this script contract. I did know about a couple of other things, but I didn't know about the script contract. I haven't actually, I unlocked the script vendor, but I didn't speak to him yet, so I don't know what he has, but script contract seems very, very reasonable. I mean, I was wondering what the hell these script stashes were doing all over the place. I thought they were to do with an achievement or a collectible, but now you tell me about the script contract, I think I might go and get that and open all of these up.
Right, so it's sort of like the chests that you get around the Heart of Magua maps, I'm guessing. Like we have the supply caches, we have the airship boxes, we have the Tyria chests. It seems like this is sort of kind of what this is. And I'm wondering, maybe they will actually add a script stash to the home instance. That'll be something really cool to add, especially the fact that you can get a silver doubloon selling for 2 gold. That would be really cool to have in your home instance. Every day, go in there, have a chance at 2 gold silver doubloon. Heck, I go in my home instance every single day. I'm sure everyone else would too.
Yeah, I definitely would as well if I could get 2 gold. I'm usually quite low on gold. But one thing that was failed to mention was that Petrified Wood can also be gathered from nodes, and these nodes look a bit like the ancient wood logs or ancient wood trees, or however you want to say them. But they look a lot like that, and you can mine them, and you'll get. Sometimes you won't actually get the Petrified Wood, you'll just get Unbound Magic and Imperial Fragments, but on a good run you can get 2 pieces of Petrified Wood, about 10 or 12 Imperial Fragments, and about 20 maximum Unbound Magic. So if you see one of these nodes, I'd definitely recommend go and mine it, or chop it.
Right, there are these nodes that give Petrified Wood. I actually found a few of them across the map. I don't know how many there are exactly, because I only found like 3 of them on the map. But I'm wondering if we'll be able to find a specific route to go. I wonder if they spawn at the same locations every day, just like the other woods do. Because if they do, there's a possibility we can actually, someone can actually create a guide and we have a route there. Because if there's a lot on the map, you can get a pretty good amount of Petrified Wood, because there's only a few ways to get Petrified Wood from the achievements, from the hearts occasionally, and from chopping down these trees. So this looks like a good way to farm for these if there's a lot of nodes on the map.
Not to mention it's a good way to farm Imperial Fragments and Unbound Magic.
Right, because Unbound Magic is also a map currency, and you will need that as well to buy some of these minis that look really cool, or either to buy some of the other items that the map vendors offer.
Yeah, the minis that I've seen, I think, go for 106,000 karma. So the minis are pretty damn expensive. And the Ascended backpack, which actually looks pretty cool, if I dare say, I think is 5,000 Unbound Magic and 500 Petrified Wood, or something like that.
So that's kind of what you're aiming for in the map, is kind of the items you're aiming for. But there are collectibles, like I said earlier, and these collectibles tend to revolve around the lore a bit more. Now, in Bloodstone Fen, everyone loved the journal entries because it told you a lot about the story, a lot of ties to Guild Wars 1. And it seems like they've brought this back into this map, but it seems like they've tripled their efforts, because there are 3 collectibles in this map, including the Lost Tablets of the Unseen, which you're basically reading about the Mersat in the past. Lots of lore there, really interesting. I found a few of them. There's supposedly 10 across the map. You have Cammy's Final Voyage, which once again has the journal pages across the map, sort of like in Bloodstone Fen. And then you have the different tokens across the map you can also collect. I think there's like 40 tokens across the map. And the tokens collectible gives you a Sentinel Arboration, which you can feed 25 Dragonite ore and 25 Imperial Fragments, another little critter that you can feed things. I guess if you don't have the Star of Gratitude or Princess, this is very useful, but heck, I think if you have another feeder, then you can just feed it more Dragonite, or if you have a ton. I know a lot of people have stacks and stacks upon these Ascended materials in their bank. I don't have any more, but I think you have a stacks, I'm sure, right?
Oh god, Bloodstone, I've got literally a whole tab full, and then I've got another tab shared between Dragonite and Imperial Fragments, so if I can get something that eats more of this stuff, I'd be very happy, but it's definitely quite a lot of work looking for these tokens to get the Sentient Aberration.
Right, 40 tokens across the map. I know there are some partial guides already out there. When I do find them, and if I feel like there isn't a guide yet on YouTube, I'll definitely make one. But that's one thing you can do, find the tokens. The Lost Voyage pages, there aren't many of those. There's only like 7 of them or so. And the Lost tab, only like 10 of them. So if you want to go for the easier collections, you can do the Lost pages and you can do the Lost tablets. But those don't give you anything special. They do give you 2 bags that have a chance of giving Ascended material, so you can try your luck at those. But those are the 3 collectibles in the map, very heavily lore based, and I've seen lots of positive feedback around these collectibles. I've opened a few of them, and I've seen some pretty good stuff in them as well.
So the map is sort of split up into, I believe, about 4 different sections and a boss. Now, I will say that a boss pretty much spawns in each of the 4 or 5 areas.
Okay, I actually only encountered, I think, one of those bosses, which was a champion, I think, Jade, which was in the northwest area or so. So I haven't actually encountered all the bosses, but if you have, you can definitely give some word on them.
So, in the main spawn area, there isn't actually a boss, but moving round to the Skrit, you have a champion Karka that spawns, and there is also another boss there, but I can't think of the name of it. I haven't actually beat that boss. In the northeast, there's nothing because it's literally just a cliff and the ocean. Inside the volcano that I spoke about is a ginormous lava worm, which is basically a world boss. And you have to defend a giant Azuran golem while it itself takes out the boss. You can't take out the boss yourself. The Masat has the Jade Pyroclast construct or something. I think it's called the champion as well. That one is a player kill boss, which takes some time. They're all pretty much world bosses, if I'm honest. They are really quite tough to beat. You also have the Sloth Queen. Nearer the circus area that spawns very close to the Jade Pyroclast, and then you have the Reef Drake Broodmother, which isn't a champion. It's just sort of a, one of those NPC enemies that you sort of kill.
So with these different champions, and I guess we'll call them mini world bosses, I think it'd be a great idea to sort of set up a champion farming route. Then, if they do happen to spawn enough times, we do have these ways of transportation, such as these explosive little volcanic pockets that bring you around the map very easily. Would there be a way that we could possibly do a champion farm train with this, or do they not spawn often enough?
Well, from what I've seen, which was playing after day 1, they do spawn pretty quickly. I mean, a couple of them I think are on 15, 20, maybe 30-minute timers, and the other ones are on 30 minutes to an hour. So, I mean, you could pretty much do a champ train, but the problem is some of them spawn at the same time. It's like having Tequatl and the Shatterer going at the same time. You have to pick one.
Oh, I see. Well, at least we do have some mini world bosses there. You do get champion bags from them as well. I remember seeing that as well. I did get champion bags from mine that I killed. So if you're into killing bosses, check out those bosses. There's one in pretty much every area, and you do get some valuable loot for that. Now, as Eleiyas mentioned, there is a circus in the area as well, and this is actually something we haven't talked about in the video yet, and this is sort of like the last thing that we have to talk about, is that there is a new set of weapons called the Carnival Weapons, which I thought were the Black Lion weapons, but they're not. They're actually the weapons for this map, and you have to have lots of karma and lots of gold to get these weapons. I think to get one weapon, it's like, what, 100,000 karma or something like that?
So I thought these weapons were actually in the game already at some other point, like after release, and they've been re-released, or perhaps I'm wrong there, and they are new weapons. But yeah, they do cost a lot of money. You can either, there's two ways of getting them. One is to buy them in the premium tab of the vendor, which means obviously you are paying premium price, and they range from about 100 gold for an offhand up to 150 gold for a two-handed weapon. The second way of getting them is to complete the Karma Heart for that area, the circus area Karma Heart, which is done by Vice Chef something. Once you've unlocked that merchant, you are able to purchase a circus ticket for 10,000 karma. And once you've got that amount of circus tickets, you will get a hefty discount. I think it's the patron tab, which will give you a hefty discount on the weapons. The 100 gold ones go down to 80 gold, so it's not a huge discount, but for those of you who are a bit strapped for cash, it's still very much appreciated. And the 150 gold weapons go down to 120, I believe. So that's how you obtain them, but they are expensive. So it's 10 tickets for each weapon, so that's 16 times 10,000. Well, no, it's 16 times 10, so it's 160 times 10,000. So that's a lot of karma.
Which is like 1,000,000 karma over there already.
Hang on, let me just calculate it because I'm incredibly bad at maths. So each ticket is 10,500 karma, and you'll need 160 of them. So that is 1.68 million, or 1,680,000 karma.
And that's excluding the gold that you still need to pay on top of that with the discount. So this is one of the main ways that you're going to be using a lot of karma. Not only does karma come into play with the different vendors that give you the minis, that give you the script contract, but those tend to have very low karma costs. The main karma cost in this map, and which everyone is talking about, if you have lots of karma, here's a good way to spend it, is to buy these circus tickets for 10,000 karma and then get these huge discounts on these weapons to lower that huge cost on these Carnival Weapons. Now, I imagine there is a collection for these Carnival Weapons. Whether you get something from this, I'm not sure yet. I did see a post on Reddit yesterday, someone asking what happens if you buy all the weapons. Will you get a unlock for a collection? You'd probably need to have maybe close to 1,000 gold or something like that, but it requires a lot of gold, it requires a lot of karma. And if any of you have completed the collection, let me know in the comments section, because I love to see if there is some title you get, some type of reward, some type of loot. Maybe you get some type of ascended gear. But we have had other weapon collections have a complete collection reward, so if you happen to complete this one, maybe you get a reward as well. So that's basically everything the map has to offer. You have your bosses there you can do, you have your collectibles you can do, a jumping puzzle you can do, Petrified Wood main currency, unbound magic. You have these circus tickets to get your weapons. If you want the weapons, you can get a script contract to farm for some gold with the stashes. You can buy some minis, you can buy some of the ascended gear, and then you obviously have the hearts and the daily achievements in that map, as well as the main story. The main story we're going to keep for another video. In fact, if I happen to complete the main story soon enough, I'll be creating another video. Perhaps we'll have Eleiyas here join us in that video as well.
Right, so I'll just go back to the Carnival Weapons quickly. So people might be wondering why they are as expensive as they are, and I believe it's because they offer nearly every single attribute. So, I mean, they are exotic level 80s, so that means they are going to be a bit expensive, but they do offer stat prefixes such as Celestial, Vipers, Trailblazers, Sinister. They offer the whole lot that you could want, which is probably why they are as expensive as they are.
So that pretty much covers the video. That's kind of what you do in the map. That's kind of how you get these collectibles done, what's important in the map. For the next video, I'm going to be doing a summary of the Reddit AMA. There were like close to 1,000 comments in the Reddit thread about the arena developers talking about Rising Flame. Obviously, I did talk about a few things coming in the future as well. So we do have some leaks and sneak peeks, I guess, for some future things to come. I know some people asked questions about that. So that will be the next video. We'll summarize that as we usually do. And then we'll also have sometime next week, hopefully, the summary of the Living World Season 3 Episode 2 that Elias has already finished and I have yet to finish. We'll see if we can do that as well.
So yeah, I've definitely got some things to say about that. So yeah, I'd love to come back and talk about that with you.
Great. Well, you were great having you here. Thank you for joining us. It was
Thank you for having me.
It was nice to have someone else talk about the video. Hopefully it isn't too long, but I think I'll edit it fairly well so it's not too long. That's most of the video. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave it a like. If you want to talk about anything in the comments section, any questions, I'll definitely be down there answering any questions you have. As usual, talking with you guys. Haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I think we're already over 4,000 subscribers, if not very close to it. Remember, 5,000 subscribers, we have another giveaway coming, and that's going to be, I'm going to be involving both servers, NA and EU, but we're getting fairly close to it. Haven't subscribed yet, go and subscribe. We have giveaways coming up, lots of Guild Wars 2 content, news, updates, guides, lots of cool stuff. If you're interested in Guild Wars 2 gaming, go and subscribe. We'd love to have you here. I also have a Patreon page. You want to donate there, click the card in the top right hand corner of the screen. It'll bring you to the page. And if you want to check out the advice channel, vlogging channel, tutorials channel, or the music channel, you can definitely do so. Links in the description as well as on the end card. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching as always. This is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.